November 21st, 2014. Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire release in Japan, North America, and Australia. Exactly 12 years after the original Ruby and Sapphire reached shelves, 13-year-old Josh immediately added these games to his Christmas list, and sure enough, on Christmas morning, Josh opened up a gift that contained Omega Ruby. More than 10 years later, present-day Josh has completed a living dex in that very same game. This video is a document of my journey. To begin, this is not the exact same save as the game that I had from 2014. In fact, it's a new cartridge entirely. At some point between 2014 and now, I must have sold or lost my original copy, so I bought this one on eBay in 2024. At first, I didn't want to complete the living dex, not even the regional Pokédex. I just wanted to replay one of my favorite Pokemon games. I started my journey in April of 2024. However, I had to take some time away from the game to celebrate my birthday, focus on work, and watch my girlfriend graduate college. Eventually, I defeated the Elite Four in June. It wasn't until August, when I paid my friend A. Austin 1201 a visit and saw his kitty Pico, that I decided to complete the living dex. And so begins the process of catching every Pokemon from 1 to 721. The natural first step for me was to complete the entirety of the Hoenn Regional Pokédex. To help me keep track of my progress, I found supereffective.gg, which has a living dex tracker. I selected Omega Ruby and got to work. If you've seen my previous video regarding completing the Pokédex, you'll know that I had some gripes with trade evolutions. When I began this challenge, I only had one 3DS, but I had both versions of ORAS. This means my only way of obtaining trade evolutions was to trade with a friend in person or borrow their DS. At first, I traded with Austin, but he lives a considerable distance from me, so I couldn't always make the trek. Once I uploaded my previous video, a friend of mine told me he had a 2DS that he hadn't played in 6 years. So he generously donated it to me, and I was able to trade with myself. Thanks, Tristan. Yeah! Now that trade evolutions were readily available, I started flying through this portion of the challenge. Around this time, I got to take a trip to Cape Girardeau to experience the SEMO District Fair, and I took some cool pictures. When I came home, I saw my all-time favorite band, Coin. I took some cool photos and videos of one of their final performances together. One week later, I saw another of my favorites, 21 Pilots. After that concert, we took a trip to Colorado, where I saw some very red rocks. Once home, I had to take a pit stop in Alpha Sapphire to catch Kyogre and all of the other version exclusives. I'd like to take some time to talk about my legendary idea. I wanted to catch every obtainable legendary in a regular Pokeball, mainly for Milo has some thoughts about this. As I was saying, I did this mainly for uniformity. So this Kyogre encounter took me 43 tries. Totally worth it. After some more trading and egg hatching, I was nearly complete with the Hoenn Dex. The final Pokemon I had to obtain was Starmie. That's right, Starmie is the final Pokemon I had to register in the Hoenn Dex. It seems only fitting that around this time I saw this star, Suki Waterhouse. After some secret super training, I was rewarded with a Water Stone and evolved Staryu. Before I talked to Professor Birch, I thought it would be appropriate to have my champions in my party. After withdrawing my team, I walked back to Little Root Town, talked to Birch, and was rewarded with the Oval Charm. The Oval Charm is a key item that helps boost the rate at which eggs can be found from the daycare couple, which is a massive boon for this challenge later on. With the Oval Charm in tow, it was time to complete the National Dex. If you haven't played ORAS, then you don't know anything about the Dex Nav. The Dex Nav is a great tool in the bottom 3DS screen that shows the player what Pokemon are present on a route. As a quick side note, I've always enjoyed that specific Pokemon like Ralts, Zigzagoon, and Skitty have special overworld sprites for the Dex Nav. I wish they would have adopted this with more species, like Tropius. Imagine this thing's neck sticking out of the tall grass on Route 119. How fun would that be? Once you become the champion of Hoenn, certain Pokemon from outside of the region will appear as DexNav exclusives. Some of these Pokemon include Zorua on Route 101, Gible on Route 111, and Axew in Granite Cave. The only version exclusives from the DexNav are Scarlet and Throh in Omega Ruby, and Clauncher and Sawk in Alpha Sapphire. Once I finished all of the possible DexNav exclusives, I had to resort to other games to complete the entire National Dex. This is when I had to start trading with my X and Y, and transferring up from Heart Gold, Platinum, White, and I even thought it would be cool if I had some authentic Kanto Pokemon for my newly acquired Fire Red. Luckily, I bought this copy from Bernie, who happened to save right in front of Moltres. I cannot believe that he gave up right here. Bernie didn't have any regular Pokeballs on him, so I had to use an Ultra Ball to catch Moltres. Bernie already had caught Zapdos, so once I caught Articuno, I transferred them up to preserve a part of Bernie's Pokemon journey forever. A lot happened in this time. Some of the highlights include the Remywolf concert, moving apartments and living next to this hole, and going on this cool disc golf road trip, where we got to watch some of the GOATs play live. I even met some really cool guys, like Gannon Burr, who won the tournament, Paul Macbeth, the legend, and Kyle Klein, who we got this funny picture with. Overall, this part was fairly easy, since I already had a lot of Pokemon caught in my original copy of Y, except that Yveltal somehow went missing, so I replayed the entire game just to catch that guy. One of the reasons I ended up wanting to complete the Living Dex in ORAS was the easily accessible legendary Pokemon. With the Delta episode including the previously event-only Mythical Deoxys, and all of the other box legendaries included in the post-game, it was a no-brainer to get the Living Dex done in this game. Some of these have really odd specific requirements to catch, like the legendary Deer Trio requiring 3 fully EV-trained Pokemon to be in your party, and then rotating which day each was available. Some of the other ones are Cresselia being on a completely random Mirage Island, and the classic Reggie Trio requiring a Relicanth to be leading your party, and Wailord to be in your 6th spot. Then there's the super easy ones, like the legendary Beasts, which require only Ho-Oh or Lugia to be on your team, and can be found in 20-minute increments, starting at the top of the hour with Raikou, then Entei in the middle of the hour, and finally Suicune at the end of the hour. You can catch these 3 within 40 minutes. Once I got all of the possible legendaries in Omega Ruby, I had to take another stop in Alpha Sapphire to catch Lugia, Dialga, Zekrom, and Thundurus. Once caught, I could then catch Kyurem and Landorus in Omega Ruby. For Giratina, I opted to transfer up the one I had caught in Platinum, along with some stragglers from the National Dex. With those final Pokemon in my collection, I'd finally completed the National Dex. Or had I? You're probably wondering how I got all of the mythical Pokemon. As previously mentioned, Deoxys is a post-game event thanks to the Delta episode, but the rest require some explanation. Jirachi was given to me via Austin, who used ACE, or Arbitrary Code Execution, and Emerald. Austin was able to use a string of codes in the PC, which allowed him to generate a fully legal Wishmaker Jirachi. Unfortunately, the other mythicals are now locked behind mystery gift events that are no longer functioning. Luckily for me, there's something called DNS exploitation. Using this, I was able to receive old mystery gift events like Victini, Meloetta, and Keldeo from Pokemon White. For the following mythicals, I injected the mystery gift event into Omega Ruby using other methods. Those would be Mew, Celebi, Darkrai, Shaman, Genesect, Diancie, Hoopa, and Volcanion. For Manaphy and Phione, I injected the Manaphy egg into Heart Gold, then bred Manaphy to hatch Phione in Omega Ruby. While not 100% legitimate, this is really the only way you can obtain these mythicals in ORAS, and it feels way better than just hacking them in. I also do not intend to transfer any of these Pokemon up to future generations, as they're going to live in Omega Ruby as proof that you can complete a Living Dex in an older game. I can't forget to mention that during this time, I saw another one of my all-time favorite artists, Joe, better known as Joe Keery, from this very small show named Stranger Things. We also stopped by Silver Dollar City for their Harvest Festival, and ate at the Promised Land, Brahms. As I was nearing the end of this challenge, I found myself not wanting it to end. Even though I know that I'm not done with this game yet, because I still want to make a Contest Master Pokemon, it's still a bittersweet ending. For just about 2 years now, I've been catching them all, whether it was at work, on a road trip, at home, or even at parties. I kept in touch with friends, I traded in person again, I moved twice, all while completing a living dex in a 10-year-old game. No matter how old I am, or the stage in life I'm in, Pokemon will always be a constant for me. That's the beauty about something like Pokemon, is that it can mean so much to me while meaning the same thing to millions of others. I hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as I have. If you have enjoyed this content, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving me a comment letting me know how I can improve. I'm very proud of how my first video essay performed, and the more support that I get, the more motivation I have to continue doing these. My goal is to bring you the best content possible, whether it's Pokemon or not. Shameless plug time! I have been streaming on this very channel and on Twitch. Lately I've been streaming Pokemon Champions, Minecraft with my girlfriend, and many more. If you'd like to watch me live, hit that bell on YouTube and also follow me on Twitch. Thank you for watching and have a great day.